I am pleasantly surprised. I have to come face to face now with my big book fear. I'm definitely seeing myself in Hermione, but I've made some predictions based on the characters that I've already met. I like that ending. Hi everyone, welcome back to another reading vlog. And welcome back to another reading vlog in the Harry Potter series. For those of you who don't know and haven't seen the other of the reading vlogs, I am currently reading the Harry Potter series for the very first time. I've never read it before. This is my first time. I've never watched the films. I've never interacted with the franchise. If you are coming to this video and you haven't already watched the first two of the reading vlogs, pause right here. Go and watch the first two vlogs, which are obviously Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, and then come back to this video so that you have all of them in order. But today's reading vlog is going to be for Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, something a little bit different about this reading vlog compared to the other two reading vlogs. The plan for these reading vlogs was to introduce the reading vlog, film all the footage of me reading the book, and then come back to you at the end with my final thoughts. And that was working for me. However, because I live at home with my family, I don't always get time to actually sit down and film like I am right now, which means that my reading actually overtook the opportunities that I had to sit down and film these intros and outros. So as I'm filming the intro for this reading vlog, I've actually already finished this book. But I just want to clarify that I am not cheating with the intros and outros. When I sit down to start one of the Harry Potter books, I write all of my thoughts and feelings down so that when I film the intro, I can give you what my honest thoughts were going into the book. I am pleasantly surprised because I am not typically a fantasy reader. I am not typically someone who gravitates towards books involving magic. I wasn't actually sure how quickly I was going to get through this reading series. As I'm filming this video, the first vlog hasn't even gone up yet. It's scheduled to go up, but it hasn't gone up yet. Obviously it will have gone up by the time you see this. I am getting through these books a hell of a lot quicker than I ever expected to. And although this is the third book in the series, I am actually starting this less than a week after starting Philosopher's Stone. This is one of the first slightly larger books in the series. The first two books were under 400 pages. This book is just under 500 with 462 pages. The books are starting to progress in size and they're starting to get a little bit bigger, which does make me think it's going to take me longer to get through the books. My plan for these reading vlogs is to upload one a week, so they're uploading a week apart, which means they are going to upload quite significantly after my reading. But I've only been reading this series for a week in real time and I've already finished the first three books, which is quite positive. But those are all of the thoughts that I had before starting this book. So now I'm going to let you get into all of the clips of me reading this book, which were obviously filmed in real time, and then I'll come back to you at the end of this video to give you my thoughts of what I actually thought of this book. These empty bookshelves behind me look so sad, but it's because my books live on my other shelves now, so that's why they're empty. I actually need to fill them back up with things. Maybe I'll find something to fill them back up with. This morning I actually finished reading Chamber of Secrets, and there will have been a video up before this one of my reading experience. Even though I only finished Chamber of Secrets this morning, I am actually planning to start Prisoner of Azkaban today. And in fact, as I'm filming this clip, I'm currently uploading the first reading vlog. So whilst I'm waiting for that to upload, I think I'm going to read some of this book. Something I have to admit to myself now and have to kind of come face to face with in terms of reading this book series is I have to come face to face now with my big book fear. This one isn't too bad. It's 462 pages, which is 100 pages longer than Chamber of Secrets. So it's not too bad. We're getting into the big ones now, which I'm slightly intimidated by. I just need to show this. I know it's nothing to do with reading, but... So I've read a couple pages further into the book. I am now on chapter 3. I'm on chapter 3, which is page 33, which, if you believe in angel numbers, is 333. And chapter 3 is The Night Bus, which I believe is actually this on the back. The clue is the fact that it says Night Bus on the front of it. Obviously this could change as I get further into the book, but I feel like this one is not reading as much of a children's book as the other two were, but again that could change as I get further into it. So I'm actually just going to put on Goodreads that I've started it. Also, just want to mention, just came to my head, that this is obviously the third book in the series. I've finished the first two. I started the first one on the 18th. Technically the 19th, because on the 18th I only read one chapter just to kind of get it started. And as I'm filming this clip, we're on the 24th. So within 6 days, I've finished the first two and started the third one. So I think I'm making good progress. So my main plan for today is to actually edit the Chamber of Secrets reading vlog, because obviously I've finished reading that book now, so I'm gonna go and do that today. I prefer to edit them on my computer, but before I go, I just thought I would give you some updates about what I've read so far in this book. So I'm currently on page 129, which is chapter 7. Actually pleasantly surprised at how quickly I'm getting through this book, because I was worried that now that we're going into the bigger ones, my reading was going to kind of slow down, but it doesn't seem to be doing that. Just a couple of points to mention. We've been introduced to some new characters and I guess kind of like plot points. A couple of the ones that stand out, we've got 2 new professors. Also, another point that I just want to mention, I think it was in the first reading vlog, I said that in that book Ron was my favourite character, and the reason for that is he's so easy to like because he's quite witty. Something that I mentioned but I cut out, I didn't actually put in the vlog, was that Hermione really got on my nerves. When I was reading the first book, she didn't get on my nerves so much in the second book, and the reason for that is because I can see part of myself in Hermione. There are some differences, I'm not 100% like her, but there are aspects of her personality that I can definitely see in myself. And the funny thing is, there's been a couple of points mentioned in this book that have made me just think I'm definitely seeing myself in Hermione. 2 of the things that were mentioned in this book that are making me kind of see myself in Hermione, it said somewhere, so Hermione's speaking and she says, "It's my birthday in September and Mum and Dad gave me some money to get myself an early birthday present." Which most likely makes Hermione a Virgo. And I'm a Virgo. My birthday is in September. And then the other thing that was mentioned, somewhere around here, of all the animals that Hermione could choose, and like pets that she could choose, she chose a cat, Crookshanks, who is a ginger cat. And I own a ginger cat. I'll insert a picture of my cat here on the screen. From the description, he does sound a little bit different to my ginger cat, but the point still stands. So those are my thoughts as of right now. And now I'm going to go and I'm going to edit the Chamber of Secrets reading vlog. And I'm going to read more of this book and I'll give you some updates when I have them. I'm back with the empty bookshelves. Something I just quickly wanted to mention before I edit the Chamber of Secrets video and read more of this book. I realised something this morning that I thought I would share in this reading vlog. So whilst I was having my breakfast this morning, I was scrolling on social media like a lot of us do. I was scrolling on TikTok and I came across a TikTok that was like photos, like you can upload photos as TikToks now. Something I've noticed is that now that I'm actually interacting with this book series and with the franchise, I have to actually avoid spoilers. Whereas like previously when I wasn't sure whether I was going to read it or not, if I saw something Harry Potter related, it meant nothing to me. So like if I saw it and looked at it, it really didn't matter because I had no context. It literally didn't mean anything. Whereas now, obviously, I have the potential to spoil it for myself. As of right now, when I'm seeing anything on social media that is Harry Potter related, I'm ignoring it. But then at the same time, I'm kind of gutted because I'm like, if I never see that again, I'm gonna have missed potentially something really good. The TikTok that I saw was 2 different photos, and the first one said something about we'd be willing to die for Harry Potter, and it was pictures of characters. And then when you scrolled to the next one, it said we did die for Harry Potter, and it was pictures of characters. I didn't see any of the characters. As soon as I realised kind of what was going on with the post, I like shut it off and looked away and didn't look at it. However, going into reading this book series, I was aware that characters will die. Like I was completely aware that at some point characters will start to be gone. But I hadn't really gave it much thought. Pretty certain none of the characters have died so far. And if they have, it obviously hasn't been very significant to me because I can't remember it. But it got me thinking, what if I predict some of the characters that I think are going to die in this series? I am currently reading Prisoner of Azkaban, which is the 3rd book in the series. Potentially some of the characters that are going to die I haven't actually been introduced to yet, so I can only make my predictions based on the characters that I already know exist, because I'm still like quite early on in this book as well, so there might even be characters in this book that I haven't met yet. But I've made some predictions based on the characters that I've already met of who I think isn't gonna make it, and I thought I would share them with you in this video, and then maybe like in the video for Deathly Hallows I can look back and see how many of them I got right. The first 2 I'm pretty certain I've heard over the years have. So I'm pretty confident with the first 2. So the first 2 that I think are at some point gonna is Dobby and Dumbledore. Now I don't know when it's gonna happen in the series, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm pretty certain that them 2 don't make it. The next character that I think, I don't necessarily know if this is gonna be a death or it's gonna be a defeat, but I don't think Voldemort's gonna make it. I think at the end, like, something's gonna happen and he's gonna be like defeated. Whether that means that he dies or not, I don't really know. I think Snape isn't gonna make it, but I think it might be towards the end of the series. My next prediction is one that takes some logic. I think one of the Weasley twins is gonna die. So my original prediction was that one of the Weasleys was gonna die. And when I worked it out, I was like, okay, that's like, I don't know how, Bill, Charlie, Percy, Fred, George, Ron, Ginny. There's 7 of them, like 7 Weasley kids. And I was like, I don't think it's going to be Bill or Charlie because they don't really feature all that much. Percy seemed like an obvious choice. I don't think it'll be Ron, and I don't think it'll be Ginny, which left the twins. And then I was like, is it going to be both twins? And then I thought, no, it's not going to be both of them. And then finally, a more of an obvious one, I think. I think this is like going to be like over the entire series. I think the pets aren't going to survive. So Crookshanks, Scabbers, I don't think they're going to make it either. But I feel like that's more of like a, because pets don't live forever. And obviously there may be characters that I meet that I haven't been introduced to yet, who might also not make it. Also, just something that I quickly remembered whilst I was waiting for the footage to upload, that I've been meaning to say for a little while and just kept forgetting, is some of the words and phrases and spells are so oddly satisfying. 2 of the ones that spring to mind are the spell Lumos. I just really like that one for some reason. And not a spell, but just like a random thing that just is oddly satisfying, is the use of spellotape. There's just something oddly satisfying about it. So I just finished editing the Chamber of Secrets reading vlog. I just need to look over it before I upload it. But I like to do it with fresh eyes. So I've turned the computer off and I'm going to watch it back tomorrow. I'm going to read some more of this book. It was exactly 4 o'clock when I just looked, but it's 4:01. A decent amount of time actually. I've got a couple of hours, so we'll see how far I get into this. Something I'm actually just going to talk to you about before I finish reading this. I was having a conversation with my mum and her partner. We were talking about these books and the films and the franchise and all of this. When these books and stuff were first coming out, my brother was a fan of them, and my mum bought my brother the books, but I never read them. And I said, do you know what's so funny is even though it gained so much popularity and it was so popular, I don't ever remember hearing, there's a new Harry Potter book coming out. There's a new Harry Potter film coming out. They just sort of appeared. They were there. And I thought it was like an age thing, where because I was younger and because at the time I wasn't into it, I wasn't really paying attention to it. But my mum and her partner also said they couldn't remember it either. Like my mum said, even though like she bought the books for my brother, she doesn't remember hearing anything about them or anything. She just remembers like after a period of time going and buying him a new book. Like crazy to see like how many people were actually at these book launches and film premieres, but I have no recollection of it, like at all. Like I don't ever remember going to the cinema and seeing a poster that there was a new Harry Potter film. Yeah, I don't know. And like I grew up around people who read it, but I don't ever remember them talking about it. Well, because earlier on in the reading vlog I included a picture of my ginger cat, wait, the picture that I included I thought fit perfectly with him in his little wizard hat at Halloween. It's not edited into the picture or anything, he does actually have a wizard hat. I thought I would just show you where he is right now. I don't think Ginger would enjoy Hogwarts. Twinny, on the other hand, would probably love it. So here's Twinny. And just up there is Ginge. Yeah, I don't know. I just get the feeling that Ginge probably wouldn't really like Hogwarts that much. I feel like there's too much going on for him, but Twinny would probably really enjoy it. So I just finished chapter 8, and Sirius Black has arrived at Hogwarts. He's one of the characters that I have a strange feeling is not going to be all he cracks up to be. Also, another character that I'm kind of having a few questions about is Professor Lupin. I feel like for some reason Lupin has a soft spot for Harry, and he seems to be making choices and decisions that he thinks will benefit Harry in some way rather than putting him in a negative position. We've been introduced to a new character, Cedric Diggory. So it's when they find out that they're not going to be going against Slytherin in the Quidditch match and they're going to be going against Hufflepuff, and it says they've got a new captain and seeker, Cedric Diggory. The reason that I'm mentioning this is because I'm gonna add him to my list of characters that I don't think are going to make it to the end of the series or aren't going to be alive at the end of the series. And my reasoning for this is because he's only just been introduced into the book or into the series, and they're really kind of bigging him up as this amazing Quidditch player, and the girls are really like flattered by him and like think he's this amazing guy looks wise, and yet they just seem quite fixated on him, and that makes me think that he's this character that's been really bigged up in many different ways. We're going to get attached to him and then something's going to happen to him. I've added him to the list of characters that I don't think are going to make it. So I've just got to chapter 10, which is the Marauders map. I'm going to go get something to eat and we shall continue reading this in a little bit. Cedric Diggory caught the snitch. Hufflepuff won, but is Cedric Diggory going to be a winner? I don't think so. I don't think he's going to make it out of the series. The shelves are no longer empty. I just thought I would give you some more reading updates about what I've read recently in Prisoner of Azkaban, because I read some more of it last night and this morning. Last night I actually filmed. Hi, Twinny. Do you want to come and say hello? Wow. You just woke up, aren't you? Yeah. Last night I actually filmed a couple of clips whilst I was reading, but this morning I didn't really film anything, so I thought I would just take this opportunity to give you a few reading updates, because as I'm reading I've been jotting things down in the notes on my phone so that I could remember to tell you in these more kind of commentary clips. Harry has learnt the Expecto Patronum spell, and he's also just learnt that Sirius Black is actually his godfather, and that Professor Lupin actually knew Black and his parents. For reference, I am now on page 353, which is actually chapter 17, and I'm about 100 pages from the end of the book. Another point that I actually put on my list, which when I did some more reading this morning, I was actually proven right. So on my list I put, did Crookshanks kill Scabbers? And I was pretty certain that Crookshanks had nothing to do with Scabbers' disappearance. I was really certain of it, and that's my cat lady logic kicking in. A lot of the stuff does follow real life logic, and cats don't typically go after rats. The chapter that I read this morning, or a couple of chapters that I read this morning, confirmed my theory. Not to that extent, but Scabbers has been located. Something that I've also noticed now that I'm almost finished with the third book in the series is I'm getting to a point with reading this book series where I'm starting to get a bit of a connection to the characters. When I read about Buckbeak, I'm not going to say anything about it, not going to give it away, but when I read about Buckbeak, I actually felt a little bit sad. Obviously not to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna cry about it, but if I'm feeling that kind of way about one of the creatures in the book and we're only kind of 2 3/4 books in, how am I going to feel about the characters as the series goes on when things start happening to them? I feel like this series might actually be starting to get me emotionally invested. I can definitely get this book finished today. I'm about 100 pages from the end. I am back with my little reading buddy. And now we're gonna finish this book. Harry keeps seeing this dog, this black dog, and it's just made a lunge for Harry. And my mind's kind of putting 2 and 2 together, and I don't know if I'm getting 4 or if I'm getting 7. But is this dog Sirius Black? Hermione's revealed that she's been using a time turner, and Dumbledore said they could use it to save more than one innocent life. So Harry said that he thought he saw his dad across the lake when the Dementors were there, and I'm about to read what happened, but my theory is he didn't see his dad, he saw himself, because when it actually happened in real time, he was in a bit of a daze and he couldn't quite make out this person, but he said that he made them out to an extent and he thought it was his dad, but obviously his dad's dead. So I think he actually saw himself. I was right. He saw himself. This is it. The final chapter. Dursleys. I like that ending. That's it. It's finished. I will obviously do a proper review at the end of this video like I did with the first 2, but some generic thoughts as of right now. I preferred this book to Chamber of Secrets. I think I have a couple of new favourite characters. Obviously we've only just really met them and been introduced to them, and they could prove me wrong, but I think I actually really like Sirius Black, and I also really like Professor Lupin. We'll see what comes of that, but it feels so strange to be filming the intro and the outro on the exact same day. This has not happened in any of the reading vlogs apart from this one. So overall, I gave Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban 4 stars, and I think this is my favourite book in the series so far. I really enjoyed reading this book. I thought it had the best plot of the first 3 books, and it had the most enjoyable reading experience for me, which is quite a significant point because I've enjoyed reading all of the books so far. This also, I find, doesn't read as much of a children's book as the first 2 books did, and I think it's because, obviously thinking back to when these books were originally coming out, I assume J.K. Rowling's writing style was evolving and changing now that she was getting further into the series. As I mentioned, this is my favourite book in the series so far, but obviously we have 4 more books to go, so that might change over time, but as of right now, this one's been my favourite. Because this is my favourite one, I was very tempted to give it 5 stars. However, we have 4 more books to go, so I ended up giving it 4. An interesting point for reading this book, and I think this came up in some of the reading clips, but I actually guessed that Scabbers was gonna reappear. There were quite a few points in this book that actually did make me feel something, and I think that that's quite significant because obviously I'm growing an attachment to the characters in these books. The plot about Buckbeak had me feeling something. The plot with Crookshanks and Scabbers had me feeling something. I'm trying to explain these points without like ruining it for you if you've never read it before. But if you've read this book or seen the film, I've never seen the film so I don't know how the film plays out, but if you've read this book you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. And the ending of this book actually made me smile. Like genuinely smile. So yeah, I am definitely growing an attachment to these characters. It's quite nice because we have 4 more books to go, and obviously this series is making me feel something. So obviously as I'm filming this, I have finished the first 3 books in the series, Philosopher's Stone, Chamber of Secrets and The Prisoner of Azkaban. And I actually worked it out. From starting Philosopher's Stone to finishing Prisoner of Azkaban, it took me 8 days. And I worked it out that in total, so far I have read 1,154 pages of the Harry Potter series, which is the first 3 books combined. Of the first 3 books, I would rate them Prisoner of Azkaban was my favourite, then Philosopher's Stone, then Chamber of Secrets. But I've had a really pleasant reading experience with all 3 of these. But those are all of my thoughts about Harry Potter and The Prisoner of Azkaban. This has definitely been my favourite of the books so far, and it really puts me in a positive perspective for the rest of the series. But now I have to admit my big book fear, because the next book in the series is Goblet of Fire. And this stands at 600 and something pages. I'm definitely coming into that at a positive perspective because my reading so far has been very pleasant. But that is going to be it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my YouTube channel to stay up to date with all of my uploads. There might be something that you would like to see on a regular basis, especially because we have more reading vlogs coming up for the Harry Potter series. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed it, and I shall see you again in my next video. Bye guys! But in today's video we're going to be reading Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets.